Welcome to Thursdays.
True and Trivial Talk.
Yes, with these guys right
These
here.
guys.
Matt
These
and
guys
McGinty.
have a name.
Well, yeah.
That's Matt.
And
that's McGinty.
That's McGinty, yeah.
In case
We're
you're wondering.
here, and man, we're so glad you guys are here with us today, hanging with us.
Sure.
We have part 2 of our interview with David Smith. It's as good as last week, and you're going to want to hear this.
As good as last week. Hey, I'm doing the interviews, so...
Oh, well, maybe not, but...
I feel like it might be better. No, just kidding.
It's going to be awesome. You're going to want to stay tuned for that. But first, we got a little segment that we're going to do this week. It's a new little segment that we're going to do called Agree or Disagree, or Can We Disagree, or Can We Disagree?
Can we agree on the title?
No, let's not agree. Can we disagree? Now,
Yep.
you know, we've been friends for a while, and we agree on a lot of things, but there are some things that we don't always agree on. So I'm usually right, but anyway. No, just kidding.
Way to set that one up.
We're going to do that today here in just a moment. First of all, you doing okay?
I'm doing good, man.
Good.
This is it's been interesting for you. Those of you who may not know this, we're like wearing the same shirts for 2 podcasts. This is being split up into 2, and we're actually going to film. These podcasts are coming later than the ones we're actually going to film tomorrow, and so it's a little bit confusing.
Don't try to figure that out. Just
yeah.
Yeah.
But let's
don't be surprised. You're like, man, why are they wearing the same things they were last week?
Because I watched it.
We filmed it on the same day.
True. All right, so let's get to this first segment,
We're gonna
man.
do it, man. Okay.
It's never been done before, so
it may be a little rough.
we'll see.
We'll see. All right. So what I'm going to do, Daniel, is I'm going to give you, and we can, I can give you one, you give me one. You want to do that?
Why don't you go through your list until you find something that I disagree with you with?
All right. So you're going to give me some questions. I'm going to give you some questions. My questions are going to be related to Star Wars because we both like Star Wars. We both love Star Wars.
I almost did a Yoda impersonation, but I won't do that.
Don't do that. We love Star Wars, and so I'm going to give some statements out there, and we're just going to see if McGinty agrees or disagrees with me.
And you can choose whether you're going to be Team Matt or Team McGinty on this, okay? All right, let's hear it, buddy.
All right, so what I decided to do is take each of these 3 questions. Each one's coming from one of the trilogies, okay? So you got the prequel trilogy, you've got the original trilogy, and you've got the sequel trilogy, which a lot of people don't want to talk about, but we're going to talk about it today, all right?
Okay, let's hear it, bud.
First of all, let's talk about the prequel trilogy if you're a Star Wars fan.
Episodes 1 through 3.
Episodes 1 through 3.
Freedom.
All right. Freedom.
Oh, no.
Okay, Daniel, I'm just going to put this out there and tell me what you think. All right. Hayden Christensen, the actor who played Darth Vader, Anakin Skywalker, all right? Hayden Christensen was not that bad of an actor, but he had terrible dialogue.
I agree.
You agree?
Sorry, I agree with it.
Okay.
I don't think he was a terrible actor. I just think George Lucas can't write a good script. He can't. He's a horrible script writer.
Yeah.
He's a great concept guy and a great world builder and creator, but he can't write a good script.
Yeah, he needs to.
And Harrison Ford agrees with me, by the way.
Yeah.
He does.
Okay.
All right, try again, buddy.
Good deal. Okay. Let's talk about the original trilogies, the ones that started it all, the ones that I think back to my childhood. And
hold on, we got to give at least a quote here. I hate sand. It gets from the prequel trilogy. Oh my word! There's some cheeseball lines in the second episode. It would just roll your eyes so that you don't ever see again.
But seen other things with him. He's not really. Yeah, he's not a bad actor.
True.
Yeah.
I mean, George Lucas wasted some really good actors
Yeah.
on the first 3 episodes.
Yeah.
I mean, wasted. I mean, he had some A-listers that just give
Didn't do
nothing.
great. Yep.
Nothing.
All right. The next one's probably a little bit easier, but talking about the original trilogy, Return of the Jedi is the greatest movie of the 3. Changed my mind.
Is this your opinion?
This is my opinion.
You think Return of the Jedi is the greatest movie of the 3?
Yep.
Okay, I've got to disagree with that.
Okay.
Return of the Jedi is not the greatest of the 3.
I think I think I see what you're about to say because you probably would say Empire Strikes Back, right?
Well, I realize it's sort of conventional, okay? But I'll tell you what, 8-year-old me would agree with you.
Well, that's my point, is that I saw it when I was 10 years old, and it has this, I don't want to say place in my heart because that's just so cheesy, but just it has this nostalgia to it.
Win.
I mean,
it feels good at the end. It sort of ramps things up. There's a redemption thread that's really cool.
Because The Empire Strikes Back, you're walking away just kind of feeling like, what happened here?
All right, this is going to sound controversial here.
Okay.
I think in some ways, Return of the Jedi is a little bit like we're losing our female audience just instantly with this conversation.
I don't know. A lot of them like okay. A lot of them like Star Wars.
But I think it's a lot like The Last Jedi. Okay, hear me out on this. The Last Jedi had some really great parts. Okay, but it had some really awful parts.
Well, that brings me to my next question.
Wait, hold on. Let me finish this thought.
All right.
So
don't steal my question.
Okay, so the what is it? The Return of the Jedi. It's got some great parts. The redemption thread, the culmination at the end with the confrontation with Vader and the Emperor at the end is just awesome. The space battle is great. The drama, but the whole Ewok thread, I'm sorry, the Ewok thread is too cute for cool. Okay, it's not my jam. As a kid, I loved it, but it's a little painful. It's a little painful to me.
Yeah, it doesn't always. There's some parts of it that didn't age well. Let's just say that.
That's being kind. Plus, like, what, another Death Star? You know?
Right.
I love how in the Lego version that we watched recently in our backyard with you guys for that movie night, there's like pieces keep falling off the Death Star every time they cut to a scene of the Death Star. I love that.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, that's how I feel about it, man.
There you go.
Well, but the question is, which one? I do think The Empire Strikes Back is probably the best of the original trilogy.
I mean,
as a movie,
it's a strong second for me. Okay.
The finale is powerful. The whole face off with Darth Vader.
Yeah.
I mean, the big reveal. But yeah, it's pretty cool.
Okay.
The romance brewing between Han and Leia. I mean, there's some really cool stuff in there.
Okay. All right. Third one. Here, third one is about the sequel trilogy. Last Jedi, the second movie of the
most recent
sequel trilogy. Mm-hmm. Yes. I don't want to say it ruined the franchise for a while, but it pretty much, it was awful. It was awful. It's the worst Star Wars movie, hands down. Frustrated, disappointed when I walked out of it. Cool parts, but yes.
All right, so what am I going to agree or disagree with? That it ruined the franchise or that it was the worst Star Wars movie ever made?
Well,
you got to choose a lane because I can give two different responses to that.
Until The Mandalorian, it ruined the franchise.
Okay, so is that one I got to disagree with?
Sure, whatever.
See, I feel like the ball was already spinning before that movie.
Okay.
So I think in many ways, The Force Awakens ruined the franchise because there was not a cohesive sort of strategy of what these 3 episodes would do and how they play along. They sort of set it up in the first one, and then Rian Johnson came along and said, nope.
Yeah.
And just like, yeah.
Yeah.
And they made a lot of mistakes in the first one, setting up Rey as like, she has all these amazing powers. She's instantly awesome. That would have been fine if they'd followed that along. So I guess ultimately you're kind of right. It ruined the franchise, and they had to like do damage control in the third one. And then the third one was just awful too. It wasn't great. It had some great scenes and whatnot, but there was a lot of moments in The Last Jedi that I really liked. Like the tension between, as a cohesive movie, if I step out of being a Star Wars fan, The Last Jedi, for the most part, is a really good movie, not a good Star Wars movie, except for the whole like, let's go to the alien casino place. That thread was just super, super lame. Okay, just lame. One of the lamest things in Star Wars. I will give that. Yeah. The tension between Rey and Kylo Ren, man, those like Force connections were really, really cool, really powerful. And a lot of Star Wars fans don't like what they did with Luke Skywalker in that movie, and I kind of don't either. But I like the fact it surprised me.
Yeah.
I like surprises. When you just chuck the lightsaber over and like, that's funny. Yeah. There were some genuinely funny moments in there.
That wasn't funny.
To you, but you're like, Star Wars. Like I can sort of separate myself a little bit.
Yeah.
Like the opening scene where they're doing the bombing run, and who's the what's the fighter guy that is big in Poe Dameron.
Yeah.
His like lines and his communication with the commander of the spaceship. That was great, man.
Yeah.
It was just really like I appreciated the comedy in it. But I think you're probably right. I think I'd have to agree with you on it. Okay. It did kind of ruin the franchise.
So you agree with 2 and disagree with 1.
Yeah.
That's good.
All right.
Now, do we have any time left?
We have some time. I'll try and get through mine quickly. All right, here we go. My theme is superheroes.
Oh, I love superheroes.
Superheroes, okay? So first one. Agree or disagree? Can you disagree?
By the way, I don't know these questions.
No, we didn't. Yeah. No reveal. All right, so I think that Captain America: Winter Soldier is the best Marvel movie ever made. Disagree with me. Captain America: Winter Soldier is the most rewatchable, best Marvel movie ever made.
Yeah, I guess so. I haven't seen it. So sure.
All right,
I'll agree with you.
Dang it, he agrees with me. All right, fair enough. Okay.
All right.
Next one. Will Arnett is the best Batman.
Will Arnett is the funniest Batman. It's hard for me to say who the best Batman is.
Will Arnett plays the voice of Lego Batman, in case you don't know.
Yeah, no, hilarious. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'd say Christian Bale or Michael Keaton. I know who would not be the best Batman.
What, Adam West? You're not gonna say Adam West?
No, Adam West is awesome. I would have to say George Clooney was the worst Batman.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you agree with me or not? He was the best Batman.
The funniest Batman.
Okay, you'll give me that?
I will give you that.
We'll call that as a pass, okay? But yeah, George Clooney, I will say, was the worst Batman, but I will say I think he was the best Wayne.
Best Bruce Wayne?
I think he was the best Bruce Wayne. He really put off this super rich guy, old rich guy vibe.
Yeah.
Great. He was the best Bruce Wayne, but the worst Batman.
Yeah.
All right, last one. So far, we've kind of agreed with me on this. I might 3 strikes and I'm out.
Okay.
All right. Tobey Maguire was the best Spider-Man.
Agree.
Ah, 3 strikes.
Yeah,
you agree with all of my things.
Yeah, I really do.
You don't like Tom Holland? You don't think he's? A lot of people think he's hung the moon.
No, that's Tobey Maguire. Yeah, I don't know.
I'm glad you agree with me, though.
Yeah.
I honestly think Spider-Man 2 is one of the best superhero films ever made.
It's a great movie. Yeah,
it really is solid. Well, I couldn't find anything for us to disagree with.
I'm sorry, dude. Next time.
I'll try harder next time. I'll try harder. All right. Well, we are going to transition to our interview with David Smith, where I will ask him some good questions. In fact, one of the things we're going to end with in the interview, he's going to talk us through the process we're going through as a church right now of looking for our next senior pastor.
That's good stuff.
And so if you go to our church, you want to know more about it, great listen to. If you don't go to our church, it'd be good for you to listen to too, because maybe you're in that situation at your church. How do we look for another senior pastor? What's a good process? And where do we go from here? So we'll see you in 5 seconds. All right, welcome. We are doing an interview today with David Smith. David Smith is our Austin Baptist Association director, and he is right now working with us here at First Baptist Church Pflugerville as our interim pastor. David, how are you today?
I'm doing well. I'm absolutely so very honored to be on the podcast. You guys are pretty famous. This is good stuff.
We're famous. We're famous to a circle of people on Facebook and those who know us here, and maybe there'll be more. Who knows?
There you go.
But we're going to do some questions for you. I'm going to do one part of this, and Matt's going to do the other part. I don't know who. I think Matt's going to release his interview section first, okay. And then mine will be later. So this will all make a lot of sense when you listen to it. All right, so Dave, we're going to start this off. We want to get to know you a little bit.
Okay.
We want to say, hey, how does this David Smith guy think, and who he is, and where he's coming from. And so I'm going to start off with some lightning round questions.
Okay.
So you have 0.2 seconds to respond to some of these questions. And you ready?
I'm ready. Come on.
All right. What drink do you crave?
Oh, my goodness. I would say coffee of any variety or water with lime.
Water with lime.
That's it.
So, okay, you're rolling to Starbucks. What's your favorite go-to drink?
I would get a tall blonde, which is, as you can imagine, an interesting thing to order.
The blonde is sort of a more recent addition.
It is, absolutely.
To Starbucks. Now,
yes.
Back in the day, I was a barista. Long time ago, yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
So I know the secret menu. Yeah. Well, cool, man. That's great. You know, Matt hates coffee, by the way.
I did not know that.
So you need to give him some grief about that.
Okay. He can't even put cream or sugar to get it to where he likes it?
No, he likes 90% hot chocolate and 10% coffee. Yeah, that's his jam. All right. Favorite color to wear?
It would have to be blue.
Blue?
Have to be blue, yes.
All right. Hey. You got to match the eyes your mother gave you, right?
Very good. That's it.
Did your mother give you your eyes?
She
blue
did.
Eyes?
Yes.
See, mine too.
Absolutely.
My blue eyes came from my mother. Very cool. All right, we got that in common. All right, best Disney movie ever?
Has to be Toy Story.
Which one? The first one?
The first one.
Okay.
Our son Thompson, that was the first movie we took him to. And it's just, I think it's nostalgic every time we look at it.
The whole series is nostalgia, right? It
absolutely.
just takes you back to your childhood, and that first one was groundbreaking. All right, last lightning round question.
Okay.
Best kind of vacation destination? Like,
without a doubt, snow skiing.
Snow
Anywhere.
skiing. Wow.
Yes, absolutely. Been snow skiing since I was in high school.
Man.
Absolutely look for opportunities to sneak away to Colorado and
I'm jealous.
shush it down the hill.
Where's your favorite place to go skiing in Colorado?
Breckenridge, Colorado.
Man,
Yeah.
my sister-in-law was right there a few weeks ago. about a
Oh
week
my
ago.
goodness, yeah.
But that's great, man. I grew up skiing like every day since I was like 5 years old. So
love
I miss it. I got my own skis and boots, and I just haven't used them in like 8 years.
We need to change that. We need to change that.
I
for sure.
agree. I'm feeling like a pastor retreat out Colorado.
I'm there.
I'm feeling it.
I'm there.
All right, I got some random questions for you too.
Okay.
So I got to know, what's the weirdest job you've ever had?
Oh my goodness.
You're like, where do I start?
Where do I start? Two jobs come to mind. First of all, I'm probably about 12 years old. All of my friends have mini bikes. My dad was one
So
of
no
these.
child labor laws or anything?
No child labor
involved here?
laws. No. Back then it was fine. My father. I told him. I said I'd love to get a mini bike. He said it'd be fine. You got to raise the money. And he had a rental house, and I painted the whole house by myself.
Nice.
Pretty random for a 12-year-old. But the coup d'état is I detasseled corn.
Detasseled corn. So corn comes pre-tasseled is what you're telling me.
Corn, as it grows in a field, has this little plume, little thing that grows out of the top. And in Indiana, where I grew up, you have to pull that out.
Gotcha.
And so that the corn doesn't pollinize. And it is a crazy. So you'll walk down the row, pull out every tassel, throw it on the ground, get to the end of the row, and then come down another row.
So that's different than corn husking.
It is, absolutely.
Okay, so corn husking is taking the husk off.
That's exactly right.
Detasseling is taking all the pollen off.
Just off the top of off of the top of the corn stalk while it's continuing to grow.
And that has to be done by hand.
It has to be done by hand. But when you're a 12-year-old
word.
and they're going to pay you crazy money to do it, yeah, you'll do it.
Man, I remember once doing some blueberry picking once, and it was so random. It was like, this is just your hands are just blue afterwards. And it's like you look like a Smurf.
Yeah, I got it. That's right.
Well, that's cool, man. All right, so where did you grow up? You mentioned Indiana.
Yeah, grew up in a city called Kokomo, Indiana. It's
I want to go down to Kokomo. No,
yes,
that's in Mexico.
Same name. Yeah, same name. It's just north of Indianapolis. Indianapolis is the capital of Indiana, and lived there until I was a sophomore in high school.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
All right. So where did you meet your wife?
So I met my wife at Baylor University.
Okay.
But
a true Baptist union.
Yeah, but here was the fun thing. And so all the students that are listening, listen, go to Disciple Now. So at the 11th hour, the Thursday night before Disciple Now starts on Friday, my roommate at seminary comes and says, hey, we've had a Disciple Now leader to bail out. Would you be willing to learn the material and teach tomorrow? And I said, sure. And when I show up at the meeting, I see Julie. And I'm not kidding. I know it sounds crazy. I said, I'm going to marry that gal.
Done.
I just got to figure out how to talk her into, marrying me now. Yeah.
So I got to tell you that's a great story, man.
Thanks.
So, Philip Yancey?
Yeah.
He went to my Bible college in Columbia. And he shared, one of our chaplains, he shared the story about how he was really struggling, like, God, who do you want me to marry? Who do you want to marry? He was sitting in the library, and he said, all right, God, I'll marry the next person that walks those library doors. And in walks, like, our future provost, and it's a dude. He's like, okay, maybe the next person.
Maybe the next person.
And the next person was the person he ended up marrying.
I love that.
Isn't that crazy?
I love that story. It's good. Yeah.
All right. Worst produced movie you've ever watched? We kind of go, this movie was just awful.
Oh, man. Daniel, this is going to be kind of an
But you
oddity.
couldn't stop watching.
I couldn't stop watching. Well, so when I was in youth group, they had produced a film about the end times.
Okay.
And it was called The Thief in the Night. And it was crazy because it scared me to death. I wanted to make sure that, hey, I had an eternal reservation. But I watched it a couple of years ago, and it was the worst movie. I mean, everything about it.
Wasn't there a movie in the 70s called A Thief in the Night?
That's it. That's the one.
So you guys produced that movie?
No, we didn't produce it.
You just kind of copied it.
Well, I saw this movie, and I think about it afterwards. Yeah, that's got to be the worst ever on so many fronts.
Pretty brutal.
It's brutal.
Yeah, it's bad. If you think the ones they made with the Left Behind movies were kind of rough in the early 2000s, this one,
this one, yeah,
that makes those movies look like Grammy. That's music. Oscar nominated, Oscar nominated worthy stuff.
Yeah.
All right. What movie hits you in the feels like every time?
Oh my goodness, you're killing me, Smalls. You're killing me, Smalls.
So are you saying it's
Sandlot?
That
Look at
movie's
you.
great.
I love that.
Sandlot's
the movie's
awesome.
just as a kid.
You're a nostalgia nut. You love the nostalgia
I
stuff.
do. I
Toy
do.
Story, Sandlot.
That's it. So as a kid, I mean, that was me. Man, all of my buddies, we're riding bikes. You know,
That's
the days
awesome.
no cell phones, riding around, just hanging out.
Yeah, I feel like it's a whole commentary. Like I feel like adults have ruined kids' sports. We've organized the heck out of it. It's kind of almost like youth pastors have sometimes kind of ruined, like, see you at the pole.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's supposed to be student led and they start leading it all.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I miss those days where we just kind of police ourselves and play. For us, it was like soccer. We just play soccer and we kicking each other's shins and figuring it out. And it was fun.
Absolutely. Yeah. Good.
Well, that's cool, man. You know, it's weird. I think for guys, a lot of sports movies really get to us.
Yeah.
You know, like Miracle. You ever see Miracle, that hockey movie?
Absolutely.
Oh man, that one will just wreck me. I don't know why. It just wrecks me, man. It's just like, oh, it's hockey. I don't even like hockey. You know, it's like, go America.
That's right.
Oh, it's great.
Good stuff.
All right. I got some more serious questions for you.
Okay.
We're going to start transitioning to talking about ministry and life and all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
2020 has been kind of an interesting year, to say the least.
Yes.
And a lot of it has been driven by politics and COVID and politics from COVID and all that kind of stuff. How do you think COVID and all that's happened to it has actually helped the church in general?
Man, Daniel, thank you for that question. You know, I'm an optimist, and as I'm looking at our churches, my encouragement to them is, you know, if God redeems all things, then God's going to redeem this. And one of the things that I've seen with our churches is they've realized how important it is to have that relationship with people. I mean, you know, people who have never been online are learning how to do Zoom calls. People are driving to people's houses and praying for them in their driveway, talking through them through their glass, you know, door and these kinds of things. So
It's forced us to be creative.
Exactly. You know, how can I minister? How can I, you know, be there for this person? But we're not, you know, no pun intended. We're not breathing the same air. We're not touching each other. And it's been really exciting. One of my favorite stories is one of our churches released their junior high students to go to the homes of many of their seniors and help them to learn how to log on to a Zoom call.
That's
so imagine that senior at the door, and, you know, it not necessarily just limited to seniors, but people that, you know, were having difficulty with that, to walk them through the process, push this button, push that button, and just the joy on their faces as they begin to say, hey, I see those people, and they're connected in.
That's
I love
awesome.
It. Yeah.
Matt did something like that for his wasn't it D now? No, it was his camp. He did driveway drop-ins.
Okay.
And I remember brainstorming with him about this, what to do. I said, man, you should just do driveway drop-ins, talk to people, bring some games to do for people to do outside.
Yeah.
And so he put together a bunch of different, like, goofy games for people to do and challenges and whatnot they could challenge him in. And he would go to the kids' houses and challenge them to different games and stuff in the driveway and then pray for them.
I love it.
It was really cool.
That's good. That's good stuff.
So what are some other ways you feel like the church has grown as a result of COVID?
I think the church, and you really nailed it. They have learned to be creative. You know, can church be done in a new and a different and a unique way? The exciting thing for me is to know that, you know, prior to COVID, I had 200 churches that probably had, you know, some with multiple services, about 300 services. Every one of our churches.
Wow.
I mean, Daniel, even the smaller ones are going to continue to stream their service.
That's good.
Because they're finding that people are watching. I mean, we've got a Japanese, a conservative Japanese Baptist church in Austin, Texas. By the way, there are only 4 in the entire state of Texas.
Oh, wow.
And
there's one here in Austin?
One here in Austin.
I didn't know that.
And people are watching from around the world.
Wow.
And it took COVID for us to realize these kinds of things. Yeah.
I have to tell my dad about that. I mean, I grew up in Japan.
I know you
this,
did. That's why I mentioned that particular one.
Interesting. Yeah. Man, I'd love to check that out. That's really cool.
Yeah.
I will say, you know, for our church, like our social media, the amount of people who've like liked our Facebook page and subscribed to us on YouTube, our YouTube subscriptions have tripled since COVID.
Oh my goodness.
Tripled.
I love it.
And for Facebook, I mean, I think if I'm calculating right, I think it's about doubled in terms of likes and the amount of viewership and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so it's really encouraging to see that it's worth putting the time and effort and being creative to know that we're reaching people and communicating God's word and his hope in a new way.
Yeah.
So I got to ask you, we start with the good. How has COVID hurt the church in some ways?
Gotcha. We've it's been a struggle for a lot of our churches related to finance. Not having services in person for many of them for multiple months. People just associate, well, I don't go to church, so I'm not bringing my offering. And we're trying to help our churches to develop all kinds of giving platforms. So it has been a little bit difficult, for our churches financially. I think they're beginning to understand that. I don't know of any of our churches that are going to shut down as a result of that. But for people to understand that, even though a lot of stuff's not happening in the building, continue to be faithful in your gifts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to give a huge shout out to our church and our people.
Yep.
You guys, members at First Baptist Church Pflugerville, have been amazingly faithful through this whole thing. And I've just been floored about how consistent you guys have been with your giving and your generosity. You guys are just generous rock stars, and I have to give you guys tremendous kudos. And it's a huge privilege to be one of your pastors on staff and knowing just you may even feel disconnected, but you're still giving.
Amen.
And that is, oh my word, that is such a big deal.
It is.
And it's very inspiring.
Yeah, this last week I had an opportunity to meet with your finance team, and it was just a great report of your faithfulness.
And we don't take that for granted because, there's so many churches out there who are really, really struggling. And I'll be super glad that, we kind of made the move about 4 years ago, maybe to have a really solid online giving platform and app giving platform.
Yeah.
And to really get that integrated into our culture. And man, I am super thankful that really became a part of the way we do things here because it's helped significantly.
Good.
All right. So what trends do you see happening in the church the next 2 to 5 years from now? If you kind of looking in your crystal ball, your ABA director crystal ball, and you're kind of thinking about churches that you minister to and help out. What do you see like in terms of trends or things happening in the next couple of years?
Very good. Well, thank you. I do not have a crystal ball. Wish we did.
I'm glad you're not a medium.
There you go. People all the time ask me, what does the average Southern Baptist church do? And I say, let me know what an average Southern Baptist church does.
Things.
We'll go from there. But one of the things that I am seeing, and it really is to the credit of this younger generation. So to all of you younger generation, thank you so much. You're not just happy to give to ministry and to missions. You want to be involved. And I see moving forward, Daniel, more and more hands-on ministry, not only from the younger folks, but I think it's exciting and encouraging for this older generation that's looking on to say, hey, listen, we want to join you in that. And I am seeing more and more ways where the churches in their particular regions are loving up on the communities around them.
That is really cool to see. And in fact, your point about younger generation wanting to not just give, but to get involved.
That's right.
That's a big fundamental shift because what we're seeing now is it used to be, all right, we need to get people to believe and belong and do, like get active. But the whole thing's been flipped. People want to do, then they want to belong, and then the belief, like really buying into the tenets of what we really hold true kind of fall later.
Absolutely.
Which is a huge paradigm shift.
It is.
So finding ways for the next generation to get involved and do things that matter first.
That's right.
And not making, hey, you got to check off all these boxes before you get involved.
Yeah.
That seems weird to us. It does. Like, hey, I don't, this person isn't even a believer, but they're going to come alongside and do like charity work with us.
That's right.
But they're rubbing shoulders with people who do believe those things. And you're mentoring them, discipling them.
Absolutely.
It's a big deal.
It is a huge deal. And you said it so very well that it is a necessary flip. And if you look at the New Testament, that's what they did. They loved their neighbor. They were significant influence in people's lives. And it really created questions from those people being served to say, why is it that you're doing this? It's Jesus. It's Jesus. So thanks. No, that's good.
So in light of that sort of question, we were talking just the other day about churches need to basically change or die. We're kind of at this sort of pivotal moment in sort of church history where culture is radically changing. Yeah. And to be a growing church, you really got to not make small changes, but big changes.
Yeah.
So what do you think are some of the big changes that churches have to make if they're really going to thrive in sort of our culture and climate right now?
I think one of the things that has to happen is the church, in wherever it's located, needs to know who its neighbors are. And as Scripture talks to us about loving our neighbors, and so how can we as a church love the neighbors around us? And so for First Baptist Pflugerville, who is my neighbor? How can I serve and love my neighbor in doing that? We need to really think about how we can be outwardly focused in terms of our look and not just take care of ourselves. And so those are some things that we're seeing for the church, the church that's moving forward, and we are. You know, a lot of our churches. You've not asked the question, but I'll answer this for you. That since COVID, a lot of our churches, they're hovering about 35% of their pre-COVID numbers in terms of people that are physically coming.
Right.
But the engagement level is way over what it was before. And so the reach of the church, if you want to use that as an analogy, the reach of the church, Daniel, is huge and large. And so you're reaching these people that are interested in coming in. They're listening online. And it's real easy because they don't have to shake hands. They don't have to welcome anybody. They don't know what this church thing is about.
The meet and greet is gone forever.
The meet and greet is pretty much gone. However, then they can say, what is this church doing? How is this church serving? So it's an exciting time.
It's really cool. And we actually talked about this the other day too, is not being afraid to put your wins out there for other people to see.
Absolutely.
If your church is doing something awesome in the community, people need to see that. They need to know this is how you are ministering to your community and being a good neighbor in a way that really shines a light on Jesus' heart for people.
Oh, listen, here's a story. So Austin is, broken down in various regions, and we have city council representatives. One of our churches, I don't have permission to share their name. I don't think they'd be, concerned about that. But what they were doing is they were having a drive-through, and they did this through COVID for people to pick up meals.
Oh, cool.
And the city council member that was not a member of their church heard of this and said, would it be okay if I come because I just want a way to greet my constituency? And the pastor of the church said that'd be absolutely great. And what's happening is there's a relationship now with the city who says, man, we're looking for ways to minister. And here this church is. And you guess what? This is a smallish kind of church. Run about 100 or so people.
Man, that's just so cool. And it's a good reminder, too, that it doesn't matter what size you are.
That's right.
You can still make a huge impact in your community.
Absolutely.
No matter where you are. And we have people that listen to us all over the world. Granted, it's like 1% in Germany, 1% in Japan, 1% in in England or something. But no matter what culture you're in,
that's right.
No matter where you are in the United States, whatever, no matter what size your church is, you can make an impact. And I think it's very important not to lose sight of that and not get discouraged either.
That's right.
So, all right, last question I got for you before we kind of close out the interview.
Okay.
Is sort of you're helping us with our pastor search process. You're coming in as our interim pastor, and you're helping us find the next pastor here at our church. And so if you can kind of describe what that process looks like here at our church.
Okay.
And then maybe kind of give some insight how that might compare to maybe how other churches do things in a way that's helpful by comparison.
Okay.
And just kind of walk us through that.
Okay.
I think it'd be helpful for our church members to hear this. But also, if you don't go to our church and you're like, hey, we're looking for a senior pastor, what's a good model to follow for a Baptist church, or we're a non-denominational church or something else, and just having some comparison and knowing what's out there, I think can be really, really helpful.
Very good. So we're going to start with a manual. It's a process that was put together, interestingly enough, by the North Carolina Baptist Convention. And what we've done is we've taken this document and we're going to Pflugerize it. We're going to put it into the language of the Pflugerville Church, and what that entails is the church going to select a group of people. By our Constitution, it's 7 individuals. There'll be men and women, and it'll be a crossed age distribution. And those people will begin to meet together and talk together, and most especially pray together, because here's what's amazing. God already knows who the next pastor of First Baptist Pflugerville is. What they will then begin to do, they will begin to meet with the church to talk about, hey, talk to us about what we're looking for in a pastor. And there'll be some listening sessions. Not only will there be listening sessions to talk about the process, but once the process is agreed upon, then what will happen is we'll begin to talk about, tell us specifically, what are we looking for in a pastor? And we'll be talking about the staff that we currently have and how all that works together. And then this committee will begin to receive resumes. Interestingly enough, Daniel, a lot of churches end up and call someone who is somehow connected to somebody in their church. For instance, you might go visit your in-laws or your outlaws, and while there, they have a pretty good pastor, and you might say, hey, maybe that person would be good to come to our church. I haven't figured that out.
Scalping pastors.
Exactly. how in Baptist life we say it's God's will for us to steal your guy and put you in the same position. That
Are you happy there?
Are you happy there?
Do you feel God's calling there still? Because I feel like I don't know if it's the wrong number or not, but he might be calling you to ours.
That's right. So what they'll do is they'll begin to work through those resumes. They'll begin to listen to sermons. And we do this very interesting in Southern Baptist churches. That committee will literally come down to one individual. They'll have one individual. It won't become a preach-off. It won't be a, hey, let's try 4 or 5 guys kind of a deal.
And today we have so-and-so in the corner. He'll be preaching for 5 minutes. And round 1, ding, ding, ding.
And not that.
Last pastor standing.
That's it. And what will happen is they will bring that person to the church. That pastoral candidate and his family will come for a weekend. The church will get to know them, and then he will preach, and the church will vote on that particular candidate. If that person doesn't receive a high enough vote percentage, and typically that's about 90%, you say, my goodness, that's high. Well, listen, if the Lord's mind is single-minded and we're praying and we're seeking Him, a 90% vote is not a big deal at all. And then what happens is then that process of he and his family, coming and moving here. But it really is.
So
People
hold
often
real quick. Put that percentage in terms of like numbers of a church. Let's say you have 500 people in your church.
Okay.
And
can I pick 600 because I can do the math on that? Do 600. Let's say that you had 600 people and you say, we're just going to have a 75% vote. That would mean that 150 people could say, this is not really the guy. So if you're coming as a pastor and you know that there's 150 people that just are not feeling that, as a pastoral candidate, what you would do is say, you know what, maybe God's not speaking in this. Yeah. And so that's why, and that's a great question on your part.
Why? I think it's important to think in terms of how many people, because if it's like a couple people, whatever, because I remember, having to do the vote process and going as a youth pastor at a church, and where, but I won't say. And they voted, and afterwards they came to listen. It was 97%, but there was 3 people that voted no. I'm like, why do they vote no? They always vote no. I was like, okay, all right.
Well, I typically tell pastors, you don't want a unanimous vote because you want to spend your ministry saying, hey, who those 3 people voted wrong or 4 people, I want to just love them up and bless them. Folks, the key to this, and I'm so thankful for the opportunity to share this, is, again, the Lord knows who this pastor is. The Lord knows what the church needs. And what we're doing is we're praying and seeking His will. Now, here's what's amazing. What God does in us while we wait for this next pastor is more important than this next pastor coming. God's going to work in our individual hearts, our hearts collectively. God's going to mold and work this church. We're going to continue to do ministry. We're going to read our Bible through. Man, we're going to pray for lost people. We're going to keep doing that. But we're just saying, Lord, who is that shepherd that you have that you're going to bring to our church? And it becomes exciting when the Lord brings that together. I don't know who it is, but I'm praying.
Awesome. Well, David, I really appreciate you being here and doing interview questions and whatnot. I know I'm going first, but this one's actually going to be aired second.
Okay.
Matt's going to walk in here in a bit and do his section with you. But thank you for being here. You cool if I pray us out?
Absolutely. I'd love it. Thank you.
Dear Father, thank you so much for David's heart for people. You have blessed him with many gifts and talents, and I'm just glad that he is here with us to shepherd and guide us through this in-between time, so to speak. But God, we know that you do some of your best work in the in-betweens. You do some of your best work in the wilderness. And I pray you do that good work in us and as a church during this time. God, we pray for the church and all that you're doing in your bride, so to speak, and growing us and challenge us to be better at reaching and being a part of the mission that you have given to us. We pray all these things in your name. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
All right. Well, David, thanks again for being here. If y'all want to tune into our podcast, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio,
very good,
Google's, and all the different things you listen to. If you like it, hey, don't hesitate to share it. Sharing is caring. We think what we do here really matters because we share the gospel, we share good things, and if sharing the gospel matters to you, not to send you on a guilt trip or anything, but why don't you think about subscribing?
Very good.
Or sharing. So we got to ask, and we appreciate. Some of you out there are super fans and you love sharing, and you guys are awesome. You guys are awesome. So keep it up and help get the word out about what God is doing through this podcast. And again, we want to encourage you. But thank you for being here. We'll see you guys soon.
Thank you, Danny. Appreciate it.
Hey, adios.